Why, hello there. So yeah, this video has been long overdue, and there have been reasons for that. But I will mention those at the end of the video, and I'm just gonna keep this one simple. And afterwards, I'll have to do the same for the Somnium Files, since I finished that one too recently. I guess there is a good side to this, since both Zero Escape vs. Last Word and the Somnium Files are Uchikoshi's creations. And while both games slash series have their strong points and are seen as fantastic games by their fan bases, I'm gonna make comparisons between the two, solely focusing on what I subjectively prefer and enjoy more, and not the year-end type of brandy each game is made out of, like, well, the writing in this game is exquisite as it showcases the duality of man and the dangers of time traveling as it was expertly presented in the masterpiece that was Sonic 06. So yeah, I'm just gonna say what I like and what I didn't like about Virtue's Last Word. Just simple as that. No overanalyzing every single character and detail in the game for 1 hour each. With that being said, have you ever read All You Need Is Kill? Because if you haven't, you should. And Virtue's Last Reward and 999 really did make me feel like I am Tom Cruise, trapped in a never-ending Nonary game and going back to square one over and over and over and over and over, trying to solve the mystery of this through different timelines. That is how it felt for me. What I liked about Virtue's Last Reward like the most is the AB round and how it explored a lot of possibilities of betrayal and allying. When one person betrays instead of allying as they initially promised, or if both teams betray so that none of them have 9 points to escape, or you choose ally because it was the right thing to do, but you get stuck nonetheless, so you have to choose betray instead, which will make you feel miserable for doing so, but it advances the plot, etc. The game really tried to test your principles. I especially like some of the surprises that came with the AB game, like how Alice or Five should have voted one thing, but instead voted something else, and I was like, what? And the protagonist figured that out too, and I was like, what? I mean, that was just complete insanity. So yeah, those are the things that I personally enjoyed about Virtuous as a Word. Everything else? Hmm, a bit of a mixed bag, in the sense that what I really loved about Virtuous Last Award was the AB again, and would love to see more of it in the future. But the rest, while some things were great, other things were just okay. Especially now when I look at the Somnium Falls and what made me enjoy it so much. First off, the protagonist, Sigma. I think that out of a lot of the protagonists that I worked with in the adventures shown in the channel, like Danganronpa, Ace Attorney, and the Somnium Files, Sigma is the one that I cared about the least. Because going back to the decisions we make in the AB game or the gruesome moments that happen in the game, I cared about what happened to the other participants, and not as much for Sigma. I mean, I guess there's something to be said about games with stories that are told via multiple timelines, and how while one character is endangered or dead in one timeline, in the other timelines that character will be fine. Which I guess the same can be said about the Somnium Files and 999, but I believe that they masked that a lot better in that game than here in Virtuous Last Word. And that is because the Somnium Files made me care about the characters a lot more and what they were going through, despite the stories being told in different timelines, including the protagonist of the Somnium Files. I cared a lot more about the protagonist of the Somnium Files. I cared about Date. And I guess that is the illusion that is being created with these kinds of multiple timelines story that Uchikoshi is making, in comparison to straight stories like Danganronpa, Ace Attorney, and I don't know about Umineko right now. I have actually never been told what kind of story Umineko is. If it's one timeline only, like it's a straight story with no jumping back in time or something like that, or it has multiple branches and stuff, like Uchikoshi's games. I don't know. That's something that I'm gonna have to see for myself. So far, it seems pretty straight. It seems pretty straight, Yumineko. But yeah, I guess that is the illusion that has been created with these kinds of stories. If the game makes you care a lot about a character, then no matter the situation, Whether it is like a straight timeline story or multiple timelines, you will feel scared or happy for that character in every timeline. The more you care about a character, the more they will make you forget about the mentality of, oh, okay, well, this character is dead, but in the next timeline they will be fine, no biggie. Now, Versus Last War did manage to do it decently with some of the characters. They did succeed in Versus Last War with Luna. Like after her ending, my eyes were teary because of what happened. And I did feel some emotions for Alice and how she apologized in the garden after what she did. And at times, I really wanted her to be safe. And the same with Clover, though maybe not as much as in 999. In 999, I really was worried for Clover, and when she reunited with her brother and survived the whole ordeal, I felt happy. I loved Clover in 999. Here, while I did care for her because of the history of her being in 999 too, Virtuous Last Word didn't really focus on her as much, in my opinion. Like, I still like her. They offered her new things to her character and her relationship with Alice, so there's that. Kay was interesting, and it did make me feel bad for him at times because of the situation. Tenmyouji was interesting. We learned that it was Junpei, first and foremost, so it makes you feel sorry for him and how he lived all this time trying to find Akane, but then giving up and starting a new life with his son Quark, only to go back to searching for Akane and now both of them being put in this game. Now, all of these were things I liked about the game. The things I thought were questionable or just okay, well, the main true route, more specifically the ending. TLDR, while the independent character stories were sweet and all, this game felt more like a collection of side stories, and the true route ending was more Sigma and Phi's story than it is everyone's story. Because while the rest of the characters had their great moments, in the true ending of Virtuous Last Word, they felt more like tools. Objects that were used by Akane to further her goal of trying to get Sigma and Phi to the point she wanted. All of Luna's pain and sorrow that she felt at the end of her route and what she was going through doesn't matter in the true ending. Kay's struggles and his identity doesn't matter in the true ending as much. Clover and Alice's mission doesn't matter. It was all about Sigma and Phi. I guess part of why I feel so weird about this particular ending is because, well, there is no closure. The mission still continues. Now we know what Akane's main goal is, and now what we have to do is help her in stopping Radical 6, which will more than likely happen in the next game. And I would assume it is in the next game when we're gonna have closure for Kyle, Luna, Alice, and Clover, Tenmyouji, and Quark, etc. I would assume that in the next game we're gonna see them once again, and we're gonna have some closure to their stories slash have some ending for them after what they went through. I mean, yeah, there's another time ending, but it still doesn't feel like a satisfying closure for the rest of the characters. And even then, I have been told that another time ending wasn't even in the original. It was added later to clarify some things about the plot. The original ending had Sigma back in the past with young Akane. I mean, I guess 999 was similar in that aspect. I mean, the ending for that was all about Junpei. But I guess in terms of closure, I could say that Snake and Clover had a closure after all that happened, what with both of them reuniting by the end of 999. So there's that. I really enjoyed that. And, well, they did have their happy ending. It did feel like the game ended. Like, the Nonary game stopped. Junpei and, Akane and Santa escaped. The rest escaped with the car, and the only thing left was for them to live the rest of their lives happy and all that. That felt more like a closure than Versus Last Word did, even if it explained like everything about the plot and all that. So yeah, there's that. There's also that weird feeling I have about Sigma not realizing he was old when he played the game. I mean, yeah, there were no mirrors, but I doubt he would resume to just that. Didn't he feel less strong due to his physique? Like, maybe he did and I don't remember? Like, maybe lack of energy? But then again, yeah, I mean, I remember such moments like that, but everybody felt the same. It was because of the gravity of that was on the in the Nonary game because they were on the moon, not on Earth. But besides that, like I don't know, did he ever touch his face to see that something was odd? I did say that the twist was actually pretty clever from the player's perspective, but realistically speaking, for Sigma to not notice himself, that felt a little odd to me when looking back. Like, I don't know, maybe you guys can explain this to me. Like, maybe there is an explanation for that that would make a lot more sense. Now, what about Phi, Quark, and Dio? Haven't really talked much about them. About when it comes to Phi, we still don't know much about her involvement in all this. I guess still keeping her a secret in all this was their plan, and their goal was to flesh her out in the sequel after this. In which case, that is pretty ballsy, if you ask me. I have been told that this game sold poorly and that the creator and fans were scraping the bottom of the barrel to get the sequel to happen. So, bottom line, you won't know if this is your last game. So, leaving a character hanging without learning about their role or importance in the story, even when she was the most prominent character that stayed with us the most, that we interacted with the most, without learning about her role, is a questionable move. Like, not bad. I think Fi is a good character, but they better have a good reason why they kept her in the shadows for a totally different game. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as a writer intentionally wanting to make a character as boring as possible throughout 90% of the game for the sake of a plot twist at the end of the game so that people wouldn't suspect a thing about the character's intentions when it did the exact opposite and... Okay, I'm getting sidetracked over here. For Quark, he was gone for like 70% of the Nonary game because of Radical 6. Thanks, Akane. And when we do learn about his life before the Nonary game with Junpei, it is done through a letter written by him, instead of him telling us personally. So yeah, it kinda sucks that we didn't manage to talk to him that much in this in comparison to other characters, and it really did feel like he was written for the sake of Junpei's storyline as well, and the suffering Junpei had to go through. I mean, the letter that Quark wrote was probably the only thing we can get that tells us about his character, and not just Junpei. I guess what I'm trying to say is we needed more Quark, for sure. Dio is... yeah, it does nothing for me. Long story short, he was neither a very intricate slash complex antagonist with moral ambiguity or interesting things the way I expect from a Danganronpa game, nor was he a powerful and intelligent villain like what I would expect out of an Ace Attorney game, like any of the masterminds of Danganronpa or the villain of I, the Summoner Files. So there's that. Like there were times when I was angry at him, but it wasn't the same. They could have done a lot more with the deal, honestly. Now there is one more thing I want to say about this game. Since I went through Virtuous Less Words, and especially now after going through I, the Summoning Files, like, I may be wrong, but I think I realized why I like I a lot more than Virtuous Less Words, but I'm not too sure. Like, it's bombastic, it's dramatic, like lots of suspense and drama, loud music with epic moments of defeating the villain of the story, like etc. I guess that comes from me playing Danganronpa and Ace Attorney and all, and some of me may think of me as a Philistine who doesn't appreciate a quality game without a bunch of over-the-top dramatic moments, action, goofy extreme face expressions, etc. To that I say, yeah, you can say that if you want. But you gotta keep in mind that it is a matter of preference. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it was the setting and the plot that didn't do it for me so much. Trapped in a very colorless facility while figuring out the mystery of how the world got destroyed because of a virus? But then there's the idea of Sigma's power of traveling through time and trying to stop the virus. So that's something I haven't seen before, like outside Zero Escape. On top of that, there were a few dramatic moments involving Number 9 Tour and how close some people were to death thanks to time running out, conflict here and there, like all that stuff. So, I don't know. Okay, I think I see what is going on here and why I prefer I over Versus Words. It has more fun with its story. Like Danganronpa and Ace Attorney, they all balance between having the very serious moments and just goofing around. You have very serious and sad moments in a game, and in that same game you have a robotic teddy bear panda that likes to slap people with fish. Or a game in which you have a dangerous shootout, followed by the protagonist going at the speed of light trying to find a porno magazine in the middle of the fight. And Virtuous Last Reward, and for that matter, Zero Escape in general, so far, feels down to earth in its storytelling. And I have to emphasize this. It is a good game. I'm not gonna say it is bad because it is not as goofy or bombastic as I would have wanted it to be, because I'm gonna repeat what I said at the beginning of this part. That I'm solely focusing on what I subjectively prefer and enjoy more. I'm not trying to find the next Citizen Kane of visual novels. Because if I need to think objectively, yeah, Danganronpa V3 had a few flaws with some of its characters and story beats, but it's still one of my favorite visual novels because of the experience and memories I have of that game, despite some of its flaws. I mean, who knows? I have started Yumi Neko recently, and so far it does seem to have a pretty down-to-earth tone to it. It's pretty chill at times, but then, I don't know, maybe it will throw me for a loop involving some sort of franchise war with KFC versus McDonald's versus Burger King. Like, who knows? So yeah, those are my thoughts on the game. Some things were great, others were a mixed bag, and some leaving me undecided. Now, it is time for me to mention my reasons why this video was long overdue. Number 1. I have been focusing on current series like Ace Attorney, The Sonian Files, and now Yumi Neko. That's 1. 2. Laziness. that's surely one of the reasons. And 3. The skit that I was trying to prepare for it. For those that remember, which I doubt many of you do, I have been trying to lead the skits I did in Virtuous Last Reward to the point where Nefarious is now separate from Noby's body in a different timeline. And this final skit would be the conclusion that would explain what happened, and would also tie into Ace Attorney Justice for All ending skit I also did there. And all that would lead into the next Zero Escape game. However, this skit that I had in plan to do also involved getting some people in to do voice acting for 2 characters besides me. I had talked to those 2 people and they said sure. But now one of them is gone, cannot contact that person, and the other, who is a friend of mine that I talk to from time to time, has been too busy with his own stuff, including the virus too, no doubt. And after a while, I gave up on it because this video took way longer because of it. The story that I had in plan was like this. Nefarious is in his own timeline with the other Noby. In the end, he realizes that Nefarious is actually in a virtual world created by Noby with the Nonary Game as its setting, recreated after the real Virtuous Last Reward Nonary Game that happened before. That is why you see those weird glitchy effects happen at times during the series. The idea is that after the ending of Ace Attorney Justice for All, with Nefarious leaving Noby's body on his own, he eventually gets caught by me and 2 other characters and is put inside the virtual Nonary Game to be studied, to learn his true intentions. Nefarious eventually realizes this and forces himself out of the system, escaping in the end and is on the run again. And yeah, that was the skit that I intended to do, but I decided to give up on the plot. Like, I am scraping everything that happened in the Virtuous Last Reward from history, and I'm just gonna go through the next game and final Zero Escape game like a normal run-of-the-mill Let's Player. As far as you are concerned, those 2% of my viewers that is, Nefarious is still gone. He is on the run. Alright, well, leaving that behind, there is one more matter to discuss, which is the hidden files. I looked at the files that I collected throughout the entire game, and I gotta say, going through that stuff wasn't as mind-blowing as I thought it would be. They can basically be categorized as followed. 1. Stuff that is pretty much explained in the game, like the mechanics of the Nonary Game, rules, that sort of stuff. And, well, there's the AB game, the bracelets, Nonary Game and its rules, the number 9 door, etc. Number 2. Interesting real-life trivia. Here we have AI, quantum computer, phones, the Turing test. Number 3. Story beats that were explained in the game too, like Radical 6, Free the Soul, Myrmidons, etc. 4. Funny new stuff that actually gave me a chuckle when I read them, Like we have EU, we have the Grandpa videos thing, the secret of Quark's hat, the swimsuit, the gentle points, and stuff like that. And there's also the next category, which is stuff that you don't get that much of an explanation for, to be quite honest. Like you have Jumpy Doll, which you can easily tell it means Junpei, since it was used as a password for the quantum computer controlled by Akane, but other than that, meh. Luna's necklace, which we don't learn any sort of new information about it besides what Luna told us in the garden. The mystery of Phi, which not even here do we get anything of substance about Phi, but I think that by now it is pretty much set in stone that we are gonna learn about her in the next adventure. And there's also Legomorph. I mean, where did he come from? Whose idea was it for this guy to be designed as a Chinese rabbit toy? Actually, you know what? Let me let me talk about this. Like, I did the say about how Virtue's Last Reward was more down to earth in comparison to other stories that I've read on this channel. But then there's Legomorph slash Zero Junior and all that. Like they try to make this a little bit more goofy at times with him, but they got rid of him at the beginning of the story. He was like, "Well, goodbye. Not gonna see you for the rest of the Nonary game," and that's mostly true. I mean, we don't really see him like at all after that. And I even completely forgot to talk about him. Yeah, I guess that tells you something. But yeah, there are some favorites that I found in these Hidden Files, though. Like there's Noxus 10 Commandments, which I like. I mean, there's also the second rule over there, with the Zero Escape as an exception to that rule. I mean, yeah, you can basically test the Danganronpa and Ace Attorney and I the Summoning Files and see if this stuff checks in, if you are interested in that sort of stuff. There's a Sigma's Cat problem, which is explained here in full detail, and I don't think we heard this in the main story, and it's pretty awesome. And there's Tenmyouji's picture, Guardian Spirit, and well, that's about it about the Hidden Files. That's all I had to say. So I did say my thoughts about the game, my reasons for why the Zero took longer, and some stuff about the Hidden Files, which is not that big of a deal to be quite honest. I mean, yeah, I admittedly there are some spoilers there as well, so I really wasn't able to read those, like all those in the game. So I was only able to read those like after ending the game. That's what I was told, and there were some neat information here and there and all that, but besides that, nah. But alright, I think that wraps it up. I'm gonna go ahead and edit this like right now. No ifs or buts. No delays. No siree. And yep, I'll catch you guys later.